Okay, let's give you guys some more practice. So solve this inequality here and draw the number line to represent the solution. So press pause and have a go. Okay, so first draw a graph of y equals this thing here. So it's just so that you get a sense of what's going on. So here, you see, to do this here, well, you're given this here. If you look at this, you can see that x is in common here, x is in common here. You can factorize out the x. So it looks like this. You see, this whole thing here is the same. It's exactly the same as this, but just written differently. So the good thing about writing it in this form is that you can locate the roots. So for example, if you're trying to investigate y equals this whole thing here. Now, at the moment, you've got this bubble multiplying it with this bubble here. So, well, your graph. Let's say you're trying to draw a graph here. You're trying to draw y equals this thing here. If you make this to be 0, then y here will be 0. So one root will be 0. Now, if you make this bubble to be 0 by putting positive 10 into the x, then this y here will be 0. So positive 10 will be the other root. So you got something like this, and now you should have enough. Well, the quadratic will either look like this, or it will look like this. Well, looking at this here is a positive quadratic. So if you have a negative one like this, it will be an upside down U. But because it's a positive one, it's going to be a normal looking U. Okay, so you know it's going to look something like this. Okay, now looking at this, hang on, let me clear this up. Looking at this here, you want the whole thing here to be less than or equal to 0. Less than or equal to 0. Hang on, this whole thing here less than or equal to 0. So it's going to be everything in here is good. Okay, so everything out here is bad. This here, bad. All of the region inside here gives you less than 0, less than or equal to 0, sorry. So your number line will look like this. Hang on. So you got your 0 here and your 10 here. So you want everything on the inside, and because you've got less than or equal to, so you are allowed to include the 0 and the 10. So your diagram will look like this. 0, it can include the 0 and it can include the 10, and you want everything in between. So this here will be your diagram, and just to translate that, x has to be greater or equal to 0, yeah, and less than or equal to 10. So you see this here is your solution. Okay, next one here. Use the same technique. Well, anyway, do whatever you have to do. Solve this inequality. Draw the diagram to represent the solution. So press pause and have a go. Okay, so this one here, roughly sketch your graph. Well, if you try and draw a graph of y equals this thing here, then it's going to look like this. At the moment, you've got this bubble multiplying with this bubble here. So one root will be 0, and the other root will be negative 7, because if you put negative 7 into here, then this whole bubble here will be 0. If this whole bubble here is 0, then y must be 0. So anyway, the other root will be negative 7. So you got your quadratic looking like this. Okay, and if you multiply this out, it will give you x squared, meaning a positive x squared. So we know it looks like a normal U shape as opposed to a negative x squared. Okay, so it looks like this. Now, hang on, let me clear this up. So now looking at our original, looking at this original statement here. Well, we want the whole thing to be less than or equal to 0. Less than or equal to 0. Hang on. Less than or equal to 0. You see, all these, well, everything in here will be less than or equal to 0. So your diagram, and it can include the negative 7 and the 0. So your diagram would look like this. Let's say you've got your number line 0 here and -7 here. Well, it can include the -7 and it can include the 0, and everything in this region here is good. So so we've got to do it like this, okay? And then that means x has to be less than, or what, has to be greater than or equal to -7, but less than or equal to 0. Yeah. So this here would be your final answer. Okay.